Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I am your host as always, Steve Hall, and we are going to get into the takeaways from episode 127 with Mike Israetel and Nick Tumminello. So let's get into those takeaway points. Takeaway point number one is, although you might be working through the entire range of motion for a given exercise, for example, a dumbbell bench press, you might not be able to develop full range of motion strength. For example, on that dumbbell bench press, when we're coming down here, we've got a great stretch on the pecs, they're getting highly activated and we're getting a lot of good strength development there. However, when we come to the top, we're missing out on a bit of, we're not getting that range of motion strength right at the top because there is no load. There's just the pressure coming down from the dumbbell. However, if we then incorporate something like a cable fly, there is then pressure coming and load exerting against us in that position. So whilst we might use full range of motion on exercises, it doesn't guarantee that we'll always develop full range of motion strength on that exercise for that muscle group. Takeaway point number two is that you want to reduce redundancy within exercise selection within a workout. For example, if within you've got chest day, it's chest day Monday, you do a bench press, you do a flat bench press, you do a flat dumbbell press, and then you do a machine press. This is all very similar movements, or in the horizontal pressing movements, all taxing similar tissues in similar ways, and that's probably going to lead to a lot of redundancy. We're missing out on activating other muscle fibers. We're also taxing the same ones to a great degree. Maybe it would be better to do something like a flat press, then maybe an incline press, and then maybe a cable fly where we're challenging muscles in different ways, so we're reducing redundancy within our workout. Takeaway point number three is that while really feeling exercises is good, if there isn't enough stress, enough overload, we won't actually cause enough disruption to grow. So whilst you might do some fancy exercise where you really feel a muscle working, if you can't use enough load to actually disrupt homeostasis within that muscle, we're not going to see growth. So bear that in mind when you are executing your workouts, especially as a bodybuilder where we love to feel things. Takeaway point number four is that it's a really good idea to pick isolation exercises that tax muscle groups in a different way to the big compounds. So for example, when we're doing a barbell bent over row, we're getting a great stretch, but then at the peak, when we're pulling up into our stomach, we're not really getting much loading there. It's very, very difficult, in fact, and we're not getting that kind of really great peak contraction right at the top. So maybe we do the big compound barbell row, we get that really good stretch on the lats, and then we pick maybe a more isolation cable row where we can really open up, protract the scapula, and then really retract and pull back and close the scapula together so we can get that really nice, really shortened range of position where we get a lot of contraction on the muscle. So you can pick your compound and isolations to complement one another in this way as a bodybuilder. Point number five is, if you use short range of motion, like shortened ROM, so you're not using an entire range of motion and you're doing it on purpose, make sure to standardize that. So for example, if you're trying to do a shortened range of motion bench press, make sure there's a way that you can standardize how far down you come. Maybe you actually put some planks on your chest. This happens in powerlifting, or maybe you put in some pins in place, just so you can keep that standardized, because it's nothing worse than just trying to do this shorter range of motion and then every single week it becomes shorter and shorter and shorter. You've got no standardization there. You don't know if you've actually progressively overloaded. So make sure if you do standardized shorter range of motion, don't just do it arbitrarily. Our favorite quote from today's podcast is that whilst you might be training through full range of motion, doesn't mean you're actually strengthening through full range of motion. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed these takeaway points. Thank you as always. Give us a like, give us a comment, subscribe, share this around. As always, if you want to learn more, then check out the entire full episode of the podcast. Cheers and revive stronger.